Security, escort this gentleman out, please.
Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.
However, two things. If you do want to speak to the council, just two things. If you wouldn't mind, just tell us your name, please. And if you keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, the council would appreciate that. Welcome. Welcome, John.
Mayor Huther, City Council members, I know you've heard a lot about this issue in the last couple of meetings, but my name is Jon Solberg. In the interest of transparency, I do live in the Oakview neighborhood and I'm a member of that association, but tonight I come to you as a board member of the Board of Directors of Hills Rest Cemetery. I've been asked to speak by Cemetery Manager and Board President Phil Schmidt, who's unable to be here this evening. He did send an email to each of you yesterday. I hope you've had an opportunity to take a look at that, detailing our drainage concerns. As stated in the email, Hills Rest is an integral part of the flood plan management or flood management plan of Northeast Sioux Falls. My purpose tonight is to briefly show some photos to you of places runoff enters the cemetery and the impact that it has. The first picture you see there is the largest of the inlets into the cemetery. This drains runoff collected into 3 detention ponds on the north side of 10th Street, collects drainage from Sycamore Avenue, East 10th Street, and the Holiday Estates addition, flows into 1 detention pond on the east side of the cemetery. The runoff then makes its way through 3 additional detention ponds inside the cemetery. This pond fills quite quickly, and the next photo will show you the refuse that was left behind after the water receded from a 1.5-inch rainfall. As you can see, there's quite a bit of debris there. We have to clean that up each and every time. The next photo shows the drainage area between the Hy-Vee and Dakota Town properties. This area used to be quite a large swale, quite deep, which has been filled in by debris deposited by runoff. This caused the city to invest thousands of dollars in easements and underground collection pipes, and in turn, the loss of grave spaces to the cemetery. The fourth photo shows the path of drainage from the new Ridgeview Complex townhomes built on East 6th Street, just east of Cleveland Avenue. As you can see, the cemetery office and parking lot is pretty much a bullseye for this drainage. In fairness, the folks at Lloyd Properties have told us they are working on a solution to this particular problem. The next photo shows the inlet at the end of Locust Avenue, which is directly south of the property in question. There's another similarly sized inlet that is east from this one that drains from Stewart Avenue. These inlets are rather small, easily overwhelmed by runoff. Further to the east, water drains into the cemetery directly from the property adjacent to it. The sixth photo shows one of the surface water drainage areas mentioned in the email sent to you. As you can see, the dark area down the center. This area is unusable as grave space because the underlying soil never dries out. It is constantly wet from the runoff. The final photo is the damage to the retaining wall for the detention pond that sits next to the cemetery offices. This wall has 3 blowout valves that are meant to ease the pressure on the wall when the pond fills too quickly from excess runoff. We've had to reinsert these valves several times over the last 12 years. Despite the protection that these valves afford, as you can see, a significant crack has developed and a resultant leak has developed, and we're going to have to fix that. In conclusion, we respectfully ask that the proposed zoning change be remanded to the Planning Commission so that further study of the drainage impact on the proposed project can be made. In our opinion, because the cemetery is already inundated by drainage and runoff on all 4 sides of the cemetery, it simply cannot accept any additional runoff. On behalf of the families of the over 14,000 people interred at Hills of Rest Cemetery, I thank you for your attention this evening.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
I'm Roger Algersma. I forgot one point last week, so I'm going to stick to that and not repeat everything else I said. I want to talk about the impact on overall wealth and the impact that developments have on overall wealth in the community. There's a concept I learned in economics about overall net economic profit, where if you got a steel mill that's making $500,000 a year and it's affecting the health of the community by a negative $2 million, then you got a overall net profit of minus $1.5 million, even though the steel mill is doing just fine. So if you switch that to overall economic wealth, if a development, you invest in something and there's a net increase in net worth or in property value, and it lowers the property values next to it, if you get an overall negative in wealth gain, then this project wasn't real good. And when you see how many neighbors get concerned, tells you how much property values are probably going to go down. So if there's a concept in banking that the overall wealth in a community is the biggest mover of the bank's wealth, and the bank's up and down. So if you get a development that's going to cause more harm than good, your bankers aren't going to like it, and the neighbors aren't going to like it, and some projects just plain aren't worthwhile. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, appreciate the opportunity just to speak very briefly tonight. I'd ask that the members of the Neighborhood Association who are here tonight please stand just to show our representation and respect to you, Mayor and Council, for what we're trying to achieve. Neighborhood associations are key and vital to our communities, and we're really proud of this city embracing neighborhoods, and this is just such a great opportunity, so thank you. Over the last week, many conversations have been had, not just for the sake of conversing, but conversation with city staff, members of council, neighbors, and developers. One common thread is we are all working to do what is best for the city. Have a deep empathy for the sellers of the Lacey Estates, the Browns, and seeking understanding to ensure there's a viable business plan for Lloyd's companies. In seeking to learn and understand due process, the Oakview neighborhood feels in the best interest of all interested parties, the Browns, the Lloyds, and the city, starting over maybe the most efficient use of time so a viable sale can occur swiftly, so a sound return on investment for Lloyd's and acceptance from the 150 plus property owners that call Oakview neighborhood their home. So what are the options? Deferring till September, as we've heard, with the possibility it may go back to the Planning Commission and in turn come back to Council and could take up to 6 months or more. Remanding it back to the Planning Commission with stipulations to revisit something we believe is trying to match up a proposed high-density rezoning with a non-conforming property as we follow the Sioux Falls plans and ordinances could foreseeably be 6 months. Moving to a second reading on July 5th and voting down this proposal, which would result in a 6-month pause. Moving to a second reading on July 5th and voting for the proposal and setting a precedent that truly works contrary to the vision of Sioux Falls. And there may be other options too. In summary, as the facilitator of the group, we once again thank you for your leadership and active listening to focus on the proposed rezoning. Over 150 properties believe in the best interest of all the stakeholders, the Browns, Lloyds, and the neighborhood. We are encouraging you to vote down this proposed rezoning. Let's start over together to shape Oakview in the most efficient way possible. And we are committed to doing this right for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And good to have you folks here. Again, as Council Chair Rolfing stated, this item that the first three folks are going to discuss, there's a really good chance it's going to get delayed until September 13th. So the comments about July 5th, I don't think that those are going to be relevant tonight. But again, certainly could change. Is that fair, Council Chair? Thank you very much. Welcome.
Scott Harrisman, Sioux Falls. I would have to say I would, after watching some of this unfold, I would be in total agreement with the two gentlemen that spoke. And instead of deferring this, it should be just sent back to the Planning Commission. There's lots of stuff that needs to be done, like a traffic study, drainage, and how many units. But I want to talk about something that was touched on earlier, and I know it's on the agenda, but I'm not going to talk about the moving of money from the enterprise and sales fund. I want to talk a little bit about enterprise funds. And we were told that we need to have an enterprise fund for our sewer and water so that we can take the money that we make from fees and we can put it back into water and building the infrastructure instead of taking it from the CIP. So my idea is this. It's a great idea and concept, so why don't we make the golf courses an enterprise fund? They make money. How about the entertainment facilities like the arena, the Orpheum, and the pavilion? How about the swimming pools? Why don't we make them enterprise funds? Why don't we take the money we make from these facilities, because we make money from them, and use that money to go back into maintenance and operating the facilities? So right now, we take these different facilities and we subsidize them, and there's never really an accounting going on there of how much money we're subsidizing. We take money from the CIP, we take money from the entertainment tax, we take money from fees, and we keep throwing money at all this stuff. Well, why not just create enterprise funds for these entities, and then we know how much money they're actually making and how much money they're actually losing. As for, I want to go on to another topic here, there's been some talk about the ambulance service. We had our doubts about Paramedics Plus when you guys approved them as the carrier, when we did some research on the consultant having very close ties with Paramedics Plus. We felt that was inappropriate for the consultant that helped pick Paramedics Plus, having that close of ties with them. They were also the most expensive service that was picked. That also concerned us. But now we're hearing that we're having problems. I've had two friends tell me they've had problems with billing with them. I've had, we've been hearing stories about them not showing up. And we also know that the Sioux Falls Fire Department has a very, very, very good record of showing up well before they do and having the skills to take care of these things. In Los Angeles, California, the ambulance service is public. And any money they make from their ambulance calls goes back into the service, which makes it better. So instead of paying a for-profit company to do ambulance service that's very expensive and not very good as of late, why not just have the fire department handle our ambulance service? And it could help subsidize the fire department, their billing, it would be cheaper. And they're already showing up before the ambulance service already. So why have this separate for-profit company do this? It makes no sense at all. I also want to talk about a little bit about the lease for the Elmwood Golf Course. Again, you guys got a first reading tonight. I don't think that money should go towards Elmwood. I think that any money that's a lease, for leasing that property, that is city-owned property that the hotel is being built on. It's very similar to the Phillips Avenue Diner. They pay a lease to the city for where they're sitting. That money should go back into the general fund and not to the Elmwood. If Elmwood makes money, I don't know why they need to have that money also towards them. Of course, any money they make from fees from the golf course would be theirs, of course. And I also like to thank Mike Cooper for his presentation about the rail traffic that I asked about last week. And it seems to me, as I understood it, that there's going to be more frequent trains that are shorter. So that equates to me, it kind of sounds like that it's going to be the same. I mean, pretty much. If not worse, if there's more frequent trains. This is very disappointing for me. I've watched the rail relocation project from the beginning when Munson proposed it. And it was always the talk at the beginning was we were going to reduce rail traffic downtown. That's not happening. It's very disappointing. We're spending $27 million and we're not reducing rail traffic. On top of that, you're not going to be able to build residential there because the rail is still going to be running there. Who's going to live in an apartment 20 feet from a railroad track? It's about good, park or a parking lot is about all it's good for as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, moving forward, I hope something will change on this, but I wish more research would have been done in the actual rail traffic instead of just making it a second thought. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council?
Y'all come back now. Here.
What kind of morons run this outfit?